all of the Titans were coming to Gotham. You get a page. Starfire, Beast Boy, everybody was like flying super fast to come over to wherever he was because they were not gonna let Nightwing be taken down like that. Donna Troy makes an appearance too. Nice to see her. And
that's always fun.
yeah, so then we get to
Everybody loves Dick.
Don't they? All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of another relaunch. What's up, y'all? I am LZ.
Hello, everybody. I am Keenan.
What's going on with you, Keenan? How are you?
I'm doing really well, actually.
Yeah?
I had like a really just kind of productive week with work. The energy was good. It hasn't been super hot and swampy here in DC. The weather's been nice for the last few days. The sun's been shining. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm feeling it.
I like that. Okay.
We entered a new season also, Leo season, and so I feel like maybe that's what it is because Cancer season was not that girl. That's when it was very hot and like we were coming down from our high of finally being back outside during Gemini season, the Superior season, and then we started realizing how expensive things were, and it was like, oh wow, I'm spending a lot of money. And I'm just like sweating all of the time. It was just like, this is not fun anymore. But I took the last few weekends off. I haven't gone out and done anything. And so I just feel great now.
I know that's right. See, I don't know much about like astrology at all, really. Some of my friends had me sign up for that one co-star app. Yes. So I know
it
like
tracks daily.
I know that I'm a Sagittarius.
Okay. I'm a Sagittarius.
Does that check out?
It does actually.
I'm a Gemini moon.
Boom. That makes a lot of sense.
I think. And whatever rising something. Which one's the one? I don't know. I'm one of those.
No, I love a little good astrology. I don't take it to like, I know some people like do like daily readings and like, I think it's fun.
Yeah.
And I like
someone will have to tell me if my stuff matches up with me. Sometimes when I read the co-star app, I'm like, oh, I didn't come for a therapy session. But anywho, let's get right into these comics of the week. And first up, we have Captain Marvel number 30. And this was written by Kelly Thompson with art by Jacoby Camagni, I think that's how you pronounce the last name. And also written by Jamie McKelvey, who did some art for a backup story here. And
wow. I love McKelvey.
Yeah, it was like an extra like double feature thing because I don't think he was ever able to write anything for Carol after he was the one that designed the Captain Marvel.
I remember that.
Yeah. So, but he never got to do like write anything for her. So they brought him back for her 30th issue to have him write. And I will say this issue was a lot of fun. I get it now why you like Enchantress.
I forgot she's popping up in this book.
Yeah, she's like been made now because of this issue, basically one of Carol's like villains. So we start off in this issue. Last issue, Captain Marvel wanted to figure out how she could take down Ove because he was here. She needed some kind of get some magic resistance. Enchantress took her to this stone at the bottom of the ocean and kind of left her there to figure it out. So in this issue, Captain Marvel comes to Enchantress's home, blows open her door, and is like, "What? You left me at the bottom of the ocean?" And Enchantress is like, "No, I didn't. The thing that you wanted is sitting right here." And she was like, "Do you honestly think I am that dumb that if I stole something from you, I would just come back to my own home?" That doesn't make any sense. So they finally have a bit of a sit down, and Enchantress basically tells her that she can change this there's basically the eye of the serpent is what this pearl thing is called. She can change it back into its original form, a liquid, and with it, Carol can drink the liquid and become resistant to magic. If anyone who drinks this is a magician themselves and they are with magic, it like cuts them off from it, I guess, which is like a really bad thing. So she gets into a fight with Ove. He ends up coming back to her because Captain Marvel is thinking about whether she wants to drink the potion or not, and Enchantress she reads Carol's mind, uses her magic to telepathically read her mind, and then she finds out that Ove is her son, and that Carol basically lied to her, and she wasn't just helping her defeat this villain, she was helping her defeat her son. So Enchantress, of course, like knocks out Carol, joins up with her son, and her son basically beats Carol a lot. And they have a bit of a team up. Carol is kind of down on herself and trying to figure out how she can get more energy. We get a appearance from Rhodey, War Machine, which I will admit I do not like their relationship together. I think it's a little forced. Not a fan, but he comes in, helps boost her to get her to have some more energy because she absorbs energy, and she tries to fight Ove. Doesn't work again because he's pretty powerful, and a lot of his punches and stuff are magic based, which is still her weakness. And she basically tricks him into drinking the potion, the potion that she was going to drink, and it cuts him off completely from magic at all. And because she did that, Enchantress now hates her. So she let her know that she will get her vengeance on her at some point because of her doing this to her. Because I guess like that is a big no-no within the magic community. Like cutting someone off completely from magic is worse than killing them.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, she had a talk with Doctor Strange, and I guess like the magic community isn't really a fan of Carol right now because like that's like a big no-no. Like you should have just killed him. Which her plan was to kill him, but she didn't want to kill him because like
I guess.
Yeah, even though throughout the issue she was saying I'm going to kill him.
Well, that's cool for Carol.
Yeah. It's a pretty fun issue. Kelly Thompson has really been killing it with Captain Marvel. So then we get the backup issue with, it's basically a fun, cute little story with Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, and Captain Marvel. They, Carol is like basically wanting to have a chit chat with her and say, hey, like, why did you want to like be like me? Like, why did you want to take the Ms. Marvel name? And then they kind of go around and talk about what it was that made her want to kind of be a hero. And it was how
have they ever had a conversation like that before?
They have, but I don't think they've ever had it to this depth where it's just the two of them together. When Kamala's powers first manifested, she can also transform, kind of like Mystique.
I remember she transformed into Carol's like Ms. Marvel outfit.
Right, and it was like she thought like she wanted to be like her, so she transformed into that. And they kind of had some conversations before, like you don't have to be like me, but never. I don't think anything like this where they actually had to sit down and Kamala got to say, like, this is actually why I did. So it was nice. And like Jamie McKelvey got to write it and draw it. So
yeah, I really like McKelvey's art.
Yeah,
so that's good for them. What would you rate it?
Honestly, like I really like the ending and the way they really handled the magic stuff. I love limits. And they again brought up in this issue, Carol herself was like, it's right, I should have limits or whatever, like me becoming resistant to magic would not be good. So I like the stuff that was handled with her powers. I'm really more excited for this Last of the Marvels thing that was announced recently. Guinness Vell, who is the son of Captain Marvel, where Carol got her powers from, I guess he's coming back somehow. And Kamala's going to help out. I don't know if that means Spectrum is going to be involved in it some way too. So I'm excited for like
maybe this will be where Blue Marvel comes back.
Could very much be that. Who knows? I would rate this issue like a 3.5 out of 5 for sure.
Okay. Well, that's good. Like you said, shout out to Kelly Thompson. She just won an Eisner for Black Widow, which also everyone should be reading. That is a fantastic book. Yelena, is in
Yeah,
that book. She's
yeah,
actually the reason it probably won the Eisner.
yeah. That Eisner
So
winner.
the one.
Y'all gotta check that out. That's really good.
That's good. Well, now that this magic arc is done, do you kind of have a place where you want to see Carol going next, or what's obviously the Marvels thing is happening, but like beyond that, she's kind of established. Okay, I need a weakness. What's the game plan now? Does she have a mission statement again, or?
Yeah, so it looks like again, I want her to have her own mission statement
Hmm.
because it looks like the next arc before the Marvels thing is going to be this what I've been calling this dark like Captain Marvel arc.
Hmm.
Previously, and when she had to fight all the Avengers, um, the Vox Supreme, this villain, put her in this suit and it was like controlled her. It
Hmm.
looks like there's going to be an arc where he got other people in these suits to fight her. So she's going to be fighting like 4 or 5 Captain Marvels out in space or something like that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But again, I would rather it. This is stuff happening to her versus
You want her to kind of pick it herself.
picking herself. Yeah. So we'll
Okay.
see.
All right.
I'd like it to go towards that way, but we'll see. All right. Up next is Nightwing number 82, and this was written by Tom Taylor with art by the amazing Bruno Redondo. And I mean, I don't really know how much more I could really praise this art. Tom Taylor is really like nailing it with Nightwing. He really has like the voice of everything down. We open this issue with um, his now like sister, I guess you can kind of say his half sister.
Hmm.
She had just revealed to him previously that she was his sister, and he gets his mask back, and the sister is like, it shouldn't matter now. Like, I already know who you are. He's like, no, I need to call off something, I need to handle something. And he's talking to Barbara Gordon, and he's like, hey, call it off. Like, I'm fine. Everything is okay. And she's like, okay, everyone, you can shut down. And like, all of the Titans were coming to Gotham. You get to pay Starfire, Beast Boy. Everybody's like flying super fast to come over to wherever he was because they were not going to let Nightwing be taken down like that. Donna Troy makes an appearance too. Nice to see her.
That's
And
always fun.
yeah, so then we get to the,
Everybody loves Dick.
don't they? Same. So we get to kind of the nitty gritty here, and we find out that this girl is actually his half sister.
Mhm.
There was a woman who was basically bought by Tony Zuko, who killed Nightwing's parents,
Mhm.
to like basically be his wife or his girlfriend. She was like 23 years old, and she was like, I think from Taiwan or something like that.
Mhm.
And during one night at a circus that he took her to, she ran away
Mhm.
and got away from him. And Nightwing's parents actually helped beat up Zuko and like keep her safe. And she ended up kind of like joining the circus with them, being around them for a little bit. And Nightwing's dad, how men do.
Man, it's awful. It's awful.
Is men. So he, of course, and she says in the story that it was before, his parents got together officially, and
Mhm. Mhm.
uh,
I bet it was.
she ended up leaving, of course, because I guess Zuko ended up coming back and finding her and taking her back with him. She ended up having the baby, and she says that Zuko probably always knew that the kid wasn't really his, but like it didn't even matter because eventually like, they got divorced and separated. And she brought her back, this girl, his sister anyway, to the circus to meet her dad. But I
Mhm.
guess when they returned to Haley's Circus, Nightwing was born. So she was like, oh, okay, I don't even want to ruin whatever you guys have going on. So they left, and she never really got to meet her dad before they were killed.
Mhm.
So you get like this pretty background. You find out basically that, Nightwing's got a sister. I'm not really sure again how I feel about the whole sibling reveals. I think I've mentioned before,
Mhm.
like the random sibling reveals I'm not the biggest fan of.
Yes, I can
Um,
agree with
Captain Marvel just had one. She had a random sister. that
People do love it. I don't know. It's something about like stepping out or infidelity. I think that really gets the people going. And
okay, is it
so,
that?
and yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, he wasn't officially with the mom in this instance, so
Right,
it's not the
right,
same
right.
thing. But I wonder, has that ever, if anyone's listening, if you've ever had a random, actually, I've had a random sibling pop up, so maybe I shouldn't talk.
It happens. I mean, it's a real thing that does happen. So it's not like it's
um,
super far fetched, even though this is like fiction, but it's it happens. But man, like I feel like a lot of these superheroes and characters end up just having these random siblings that pop up, and they end up being villains because this girl is a villain. She is trying to run the city.
I think that's always the thing. It's like, why are they always the villain? It's like, they could be a hero as well.
Right.
Why did their life have to be so horrible?
Exactly. Like dang, they already like you're telling us that they didn't grow up with like their parents.
Broken home, like daddy issues, because it's always daddy issues.
Oh,
And then it's just like, dang, now you evil. So now I'm gonna have to kill you eventually. It's just
right.
like, no, maybe we can both just be heroes and then team up and be like, oh, happy that we found each other.
Look at
That's
that.
how
That
me
would
and
be a
my
change
brother
of
were.
pace.
That's how it actually happened for me.
See? Boom.
um,
Maybe we could try something out a little bit. But that was
yeah.
pretty much the entire story for this was just all about Melinda Zuko and how this is her. I'm sorry, this is Nightwing's like half sister.
Well,
Um,
good for him.
yeah. So
I
I mean,
also think
it was
the
beautiful.
Bat family needs like random siblings.
Right.
They're
He's
already a
like,
family.
yeah. I don't know.
Oh, trust
I
in Tom Taylor, I guess.
Exactly. I like what Tom is doing with Nightwing. I'm not sure how I feel about the Zuko plot, the Melinda Zuko plot itself. It was great when she was just like the villain of Bloodhaven trying to take it over or whatever. She didn't necessarily need to be his sister.
Mm.
Um, but so I would give this issue like a 3 out of 5.
Okay. If
Again,
Starfire pops back up, let me know. I realize I just don't really care for Nightwing that much, but I do love a Starfire Nightwing relationship.
yeah, yeah. Starfire is my girlie, and I don't know. I still haven't figured out how I feel about that relationship though. You
Oh,
know,
I love it. I think it's amazing.
I like them together, but I want her to be with I don't know. I don't know.
No,
Someone a
it's
little bit
perfect.
more like
You want her to have like a man's man. Who's gonna rough her up a little bit, but
No,
that's
no,
not.
no, not necessarily because I do like the fact that she probably picks him up.
I was about to say, but that's not the type of girl Starfire is. She
Uh-uh.
needs her man has to stand below her, and
Yeah.
like he's okay with standing below her, and
I
like
think I think I think I just want him to be super powered.
you need to let that go. Oh, because he's gonna bring her down to the street.
Basically.
But that's where she thrives. She's a Teen Titan.
No,
She's a
I
street
like
girl.
blasting stuff.
She was an outsider. Oh my gosh, that was such a good run. I think I'm gonna go back here. That should be a reread. But that's long.
The outside era.
We should do like one of the specific arcs. We should do the Teen Titan. We'll talk about that later.
We
Next
get the
issue.
Titans. Yes. All right. Up next is Catwoman number 33 by Ram V and Federico Blanco with colors by Jordi Belair. Take it away.
It's excellent. So this is like I've realized now, maybe it might just be the Randy effect, but I think I might be a Catwoman fan. Like I really like Selena in this book. She is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Alleytown is going to war with the police, very real life. It's amazing. They're standing their guard. Of course, they just want Catwoman to turn herself in because they think she's responsible for all of the stuff that's been going on. But it's actually the new villain, Carl Valley. But luckily, some of the detectives have gotten some video footage of the church being blown up, and they see him coming out of it, so they're starting to get on his trail. Selena finds out that a bunch of the kids and people who live in Alleytown have been getting help from Riddler, so they've set up a new base of operations and they like stole some stuff with the help of Clayface. She's very conflicted about it. Obviously, she's saying, "Who am I? I'm Catwoman. I'm just doing this thing. I've been robbing people and being a villain for however long, but now here I am. I have these kids who kind of idolize me because of things that I've said and what I've instilled in them, and it's making them kind of turn into the bad people that I don't want them to be, or that, you know, I'm trying to no longer be. And so it's a really nice just internal struggle that she's having. Clayface brings in some other people to help, so we see Knockout, Firefly's there, Cheshire is there.
Ooh, I like
and,
Cheshire.
yeah, right. Killer Croc is there, and so they're going to meet with some other chick, mob woman in Alleytown. She's a black woman, very cool, and she's talking to Selena. She's like, you know, you've gone soft a little bit. You're starting to care about people. It's making you sloppy. This isn't how you're supposed to be. And she's like, I'm gonna fix it. As they're leaving, the villain Carl blows the place up. And so the whole thing about Carl is like he has a big disillusionment with God, and so he like does a lot of Bible verses and things. So as he's coming out of the flames, he is reciting a Bible verse to Selena, and he has his knife. He's a master with the blade, and so they just have this big fight. And it looks beautiful, and he's cutting her up. He's like,
oh
up.
no,
like she is like not winning. She is like not winning. He is cutting her up, but at the end of it, Clayface and Killer Croc are still okay. So they manage to get out and kind of come to save her a little bit, but like she is dragging her body down. She's bleeding from her side. She ends up falling into the river. The Carl guy is kind of saying to her, he's like, you know, how many lives do you actually have? And she's drowning, and she's like, oh, no one's coming to save me. I've made this life of myself doing all this stuff. And the last page is her raising her hand like up in the water, drowning, and Batman's coming down to save her.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It was hot. It was hot. I was like, this is hot.
Oh, man. Get to this.
Yeah, like I was like, oh, this is good. This is good Selena, and it's like a really good look into Selena that I don't think a lot of people have done before. Again, I think when people think of Catwoman, they think of Batman.
Yes.
And they just think of that relationship together. And this is again seeing Selena on her side. She even says, she's like, I'm becoming a hero. That's not who I am. And she's like, I don't know how to handle this. It's amazing. I would give this a 4 out of 5 for sure.
I definitely need to pick that up, y'all. Check that out. We'll get you some of that Catwoman. All right, up next is Gamma Flight number 2 by Al Ewing and Crystal Frazier and Lena Medina, with colors by Antonio Fabela.
This is a good book also. It's just a very short miniseries. It's only 3 issues.
Oh, that's really short.
Yeah. And so this one, Gamma Flight, Titania, and all of them, they're actually, so at the end of the first issue, Hulk's son showed up. Scar.
Okay. Scar?
Yeah, and so they find out that he is the one who's kind of been kidnapping the gamma radiated people and like sending them out to war. So it's just a big fight issue. Titania, Sasquatch, and Scar and the gamma radiated girl are like fighting him. And back at headquarters, Crusher Creel and Charlene they're trying to get them back, but the teleporter's broken. So Creel ends up kind of merging with the interface of it to become the teleporter technology, and so he's able to go back to the battle. They fight a little bit more, so they're going to try and get them back to headquarters, but something malfunctions, so when he goes to teleport, they all disintegrate.
Oh, okay.
And Scar is left fighting, and during the big fight, there are all these police come, and they come in their new formed Hulkbusters. Yeah. And so, but like Scar is tearing them up. It's like he's not backing down at all. He's just knocking people around. And Titania even makes a comment about it. She's like, you can tell he's not trying to kill them. He's just having fun. He's just beating these people up. We don't really need to worry about him. So after the team disintegrates, Scar's like, okay, well, I still want to fight. So he just goes back to fighting the Hulkbusters. We cut to someone watching it on the news feed. It's some doctor talking about, you know, we can just let him have a little bit of fun before we bring him back. Find out that the person they're talking to is Abomination. And if you're a Hulk fan, then you know Abomination is one of his villains, and like that's who seems to be kind of spearheading this entire thing. And the issue ends. I don't really have that much of a tie to Abomination. You know, again, like I only really care about the Immortal Hulk and like that aspect of the story, the gamma radiated heroes, and people, Scar, all that's really fun to see. It's like I said, it's just a good little miniseries. I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. I think Medina's art is cool. Everybody looks good. I see why you like Titania and Crusher Creel as a relationship, because they're fun. And they like ride for each other.
They ride for each other.
It's like Titania calls him in one of the scenes, and she's like, you know, we're okay. But Scar starts fighting them again, and he hears her screaming. He tells Arlene, he's like, no, you need to get this thing up and running now. He was like, so that's when he goes to interface with it. He's like, nah. He was like, we gotta go. So it's always good to see them.
Yeah. I wonder if they're gonna bring him into the She-Hulk TV series with Titania.
Didn't they use him on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Oh yeah. That was the first time I had seen them like show anybody with superpowers in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, and I think that they should like that he wasn't a mutant or something like that. I remember them like bringing up the fact that there's going to be more people with powers and stuff kind of popping up.
It was something with him. I wonder because they don't claim Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So
right,
unfortunately.
Right. I don't know about unfortunate.
It was a good show.
It started off nice. It did.
No, it started off bad.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It did start off bad until it got to the Winter Soldier tie-in. Yeah. Once it got to the Winter Soldier tie-in, it was pretty good. Then I fell off of it.
Oh, see, seasons 3 through 5, that was like peak comic book television right there. Like, oh my God, when they went to the future and then they were in the framework, you gotta go back.
Oh, I clocked out after that. No.
That was a good show. What's next one?
When they were on like the moon, but they were on the dark side of the moon or something like that.
My God, that season was so good. That's when they were in the future and we saw Flint, the Inhuman.
No. I do like Flint, but no.
All right. Max like took over. Don't get me started. Go to the next issue. Just talk about it.
All right. Up next is The Many Deaths of Laila Starr, number 4 by Ram V and Filippo Andrade, with colors by Inez Amaro.
I love when I have a double Ram week.
So I read this and I loved it a lot. I was like, let me jump in.
Oh, wow.
So I went back and read the first 3 issues and I read this one. And I'm a fan. It was so good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this issue, Laila is waking up from her, I think this is her second or third death now, where she died in the fire. And she's woken up all these years later, and so she goes to look for the young man who's going to create immortality. And she comes across this temple, and because she is a former god, she can actually hear, I guess, the spirit who lives in the temple, and they're speaking, and he talks about how nobody has come there for a long time except for this one little guy named Wei. So she tells him about Wei and how he's lived in this town, and he's the only one who comes to this old Chinese temple. And she's like, well, I'm looking for this guy. And he's like, well, if anybody's going to know, this way, but when you go look for him, can you go check on Wei? She ends up running into the gentleman who's going to create the immortality, and he instantly recognizes her. He's like, I've been waiting for you. He's like, I remember you from when I met you when I was a kid. I remember you from the party. He's like, I knew I would see you again. Why do you keep coming back? And he's like, he realizes that the common thread is death. And after seeing her again, I guess his wife has just died.
Yeah, and she died of cancer.
Yeah, she died of cancer. And so he's looking at death. He's like, why do you keep coming back here? You already took her. But we see his son who kind of calms him down. She goes to find Wei, and she also sees that Wei is now passed away. And I think this is a really interesting aspect for Laila because she is death, kind of finally acknowledging death and seeing the effect that it has on people. And, again, she even makes a comment. She's like, maybe this is because I'm human now, so I'm experiencing all these things in a completely different way, which is just so interesting. And so she goes to tell the temple about how Wei has passed away, but it's like it's raining outside. He's saying, come in here and go to sleep during the storm. The temple breaks, and that is how Laila dies again, because she's on the inside. And she wakes up a bunch of years later. I think it's 36 years later this time? It was like a very far jump.
It was 28 years.
28 years. I don't know where I got 36. I knew it was a high jump. But, we get to see a little bit more about the gods who have to keep going through all the stuff to bring her back. They're starting not to get happy. That was, again, I really like that their afterlife is a boardroom.
Right? I like that. Was she Taxes? The one who says that Laila just wants her corner office?
Yes. She's like, she always wanted it. I was like, that's my girl. So that was good to see. But then we also found out that the guy has not created immortality yet, and apparently he's getting old. It's been another 28 years, so he's running out of time. So we're going to see there. But Layla even acknowledges that she thinks she is the reason that he goes on this path to try and create it. So that's a really nice little time paradox we got going in there. It's always one.
Yeah, I will say that when I started reading this and reading the other books, I had a feeling that one of two things was going to happen. She was either going to fall in love with Darren, or she was going to be the reason that he was able to invent immortality. And I liked in this issue that he brought up that, I met you when I was 8. I met you again at that party. And now I'm meeting you now, and you literally look the same. You've never aged.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how she admits that she used to be the god of death. And I think that probably this interaction is what is probably going to be the thing that he remembers. But the way that I liked this story being told was Ram threw me for a loop at the end by her dying again and having that big of a jump, and the god of life telling Layla, oh, he's getting old, so like he hasn't even invented it yet. So,
yeah, what you would do?
because I was truly expecting him to had already done it at some point.
And so even like when she woke up and she said it, and she was like, oh, hey, this is where I think I start, or like I put him on that path. It's like, okay, you would think he'd done it by now. And it's just like, oh no, you still got some time.
Yeah.
So
what would you rate this issue?
I would give this a 4 out of 5 for sure. I love the art, and I think I said it last time. It has a very, it flows like water. I feel like the pages, the movement is so beautiful. The facial expressions hit. The colors are fantastic. The tone it evokes, you feel kind of the sadness. I think when she was watching the funeral procession for Wei, and she starts crying, I was getting a little sad. I was like, damn, I need to put this down. And laugh
I typically wouldn't even. I think I wouldn't normally like this style of art, but I really like it for this book, and I really like the way that it, like, kind of like what you said, it flows very like water. I don't know if it's just the colors blended with the art or what that is, but like it, I like it in this book. It's a very solid team. Yeah, I would also give it a 4 out of 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. All right. Up next, speaking of another book that I ended up jumping in, and this is not a cry for help, everyone. I know that I've said this before, but this does not mean to alert the authorities, and no pun intended. It is Superman and the Authority #1 by Grant Morrison and Michael Janine, with colors by Jordi Belair. And wow, I'm reading a Superman book.
It's like, don't you love it?
It's really good.
Don't you love it? Don't you love it?
It's actually pretty good.
Also, first of all, shout out to Jordi Belair, because she is working. Okay?
Yes.
That woman is everywhere. She just colored Catwoman. She's coloring this. She's been coloring Black Widow. We love to see it. She's great. Yeah.
I mean, the colors that she is, like I said, the way that she blends all that stuff is really, fantastic. Really good.
But I'm glad. So this means you're also going to get into Action Comics, yes? Yeah.
Probably.
Love that.
I think I could see myself liking the universe of Superman, just still not really liking Superman.
Clark's definitely the weakest link. It's kind of like how I feel about Thor and Asgard.
Okay.
Also. Like, I love everybody, I love the world, I love what it is, but even Clark, I'm kind of starting to understand a little bit more. I see it, but you're still at the bottom.
Yeah, because I mean, this book is giving me the science that I love, the powers and all that kind of stuff. So
it looks really good. You see the action. Just even the beginning pages of Manchester Black, when he's waking up and the people are coming to attack him and he's trying to fight, but then Superman flies in and he's like, oh, I can do this. It's just like, yeah, this is good stuff.
So with this book opening and being Superman meeting with JFK and JFK basically telling him that, like, oh, we are basically want to go to the stars and we have a plan to one day reach Mars. Funny enough, the X-Men already did it. Been there, done that. And we want it to be a man-made mission, but if anything goes wrong, we want you to help out. I find it interesting that was something that was a plot in Invincible.
Mm-hmm.
like the same kind of story. So I found that a bit interesting, and then we get to see I don't know who's remembering this stuff right now, and I guess that's probably going to be revealed later. That the JFK assassination, and like I guess Superman kind of felt the way that he wasn't there for it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about this like cementing itself within like time?
I'm fine with it just because I think it goes with what they're doing with Superman right now. They're moving him out. They are obviously taking away his powers. Even in this issue, they make a comment about. I mean, the whole thing with why Superman is working with Manchester Black and trying to do this is because he is getting weaker and he's losing his abilities and he doesn't know how much longer he has. And so his need to, the promise he made to JFK to like protect Earth and be that person, it has to be a little bit more extreme. And he kind of realized he can't do it himself. So putting him in a space that it has a time frame and showing that he is old is okay with me because I feel like he's not gonna be around much longer.
Right, right. And like kind of like you said, this operates outside of time. It looks like he's kind of like plucking people from
Mm-hmm.
wherever. And I will say that I'm a fan of Manchester Black.
He was
This
fun.
is
He was definitely
this
fun to
was
read.
my first real introduction to him. Again, I'm not a Superman fan, so I don't really read a lot of his stuff, if any at all. So um, I thought his telepathic abilities were really fun to see. And then when all of the people he was fighting had the side blocks on, and he was like, "All right, well, I guess we're switching it to telekinesis."
The
I
Khalifa.
thought that was pretty fun. And the way that he interacts with Clark and their whole banter
Yeah.
is really fun to see. I do wonder what's going on with Clark because we see at the end of this, it looks like he poisoned Manchester Black. At least that's what I took away from it.
I don't know. We're gonna see.
What do you think?
I
You
don't
don't
think
think
he
he poisoned
poisoned
him?
them.
I thought
No,
he poisoned him.
I don't think he poisoned them.
They're in
I
there.
don't.
So like we see them all talking, and Clark is giving his spiel basically to
Mhm.
Manchester Black to get him to join him. He finally joins him. He even shows him the King Arthur's like round table. It's the original one that King
Everybody's
Arthur
got
gave
some
him.
Arthurian legend going on right now. I love it.
you know, it's the originators. The knights.
It's also nice to see it when it's done like in a very exciting way.
Well, that's not all things, right?
It's not. That's why it's nice when it is.
um, yeah, but they make a toast to Manchester Black joining, and he says
Mhm.
that I have some other friends that could probably help us join this thing, and he gives them just water, and he sips it.
Mhm.
He's like, "Oh, this is just water. I didn't want this. I thought this was going to be booze," and he
Mhm.
passes out, and I was like, oh, "Is this like a dark
Mhm.
Clark?" But
Mhm.
because
Nah.
there seems
I
to
do.
be a very like heavy
I will say Clark definitely has a
like
little bit
evil
more
Clark.
of like there's yeah there is. I don't necessarily think it's evil Clark. I just think like I said it's a Clark that's a little bit more realistic and
Mm.
just willing to go like a little bit further in some of the things he does. I did like the part where Manchester Black was saying he was calling some A-listers in to help them on the mission because you know who those are.
Mm.
It's gonna be Midnighter and Apollo.
Yeah, when he said A-listers, I was like, "Oh, is that going to be
Yeah,
Midnight and Apollo?"
yeah. He was like, oh, they're like doing something else right now, but they'll come down a bit. I was like, oh yeah, that's gonna be Midnighter and Apollo. So it's like again, this miniseries is only 4 issues, so I'm pretty sure by the next issue, I'm hoping we have the team formed before issue 4, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get them at the like end of issue 4 because they're also gonna pop up in Action Comics in a few months.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm really gonna have to end up reading Action Comics.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it
This is
got
the
me.
thing. Like, this is Clark. This is his status quo. And the Superman world is very exciting right now. DC, I actually realized this the other day. Excuse me. DC, I think, has all of my favorite. I'm not gonna say all of them, but the majority of my favorite writers right now. I really enjoy a lot of my DC books, and as I've been looking at my pull list, more and more DC books are coming on it.
Yeah, I've noticed that I've been adding a lot of DC books to my pull list, surprisingly, and like dropping Marvel ones. I've always been more of a Marvel fan, but it feels like I don't know. DC's got some good stuff going on over there.
DC's got good stuff right now, and I think also the diversity of creators that they have right
Hmm.
now is a little bit more wide. I think they and everybody knows DC like will drag something on forever. When when Marvel books come out, a lot of times people's fearing cancellation at issue 6. Even though, again, I think Immortal Hulk kind of broke that curse. When people are still like, we might only get 6 or 12 issues. DC will keep a book going forever.
Yeah.
Before they stop.
It has to truly be a flop for it
to. People have been going forever. So I think that helps. But even so, I think also what they've been doing with their books, they've been letting people know, like, oh, this is going to be 8 issues, this is going to be 12 issues, and so the storytelling feels very concise again, which is something that they haven't had for a while.
Right. I think it's probably been best for them to have opened up the whole multiverse thing and let people just kind of write wherever they want to write.
I've heard some good things about Infinite Frontier. I'm going to catch up a little bit later. I'm behind. But I've been hearing some nice things. Not from the Flash fans. I don't think it's going good in the Flash world.
I know. All I see is stuff on the Flash corner. Like, they just can't get anything good over there. I always see the Flash fans like, something just doesn't ever go right for them.
I wouldn't know. I'm not over there.
We need a child.
I see it. But what would you rate this issue?
Honestly, I would give this issue a 3.5 out of 5. Maybe a 4. I really enjoyed it.
I had to keep it at like a 3.5. Only it felt like a very basic setup issue. Like, I don't think too much new was really jumped in. But again, it's only 4 issues, so.
Yeah. I really like the art.
Yeah, art's beautiful. Killer team. I'm excited for everywhere that this is going.
For sure. All right, up next is Moon Knight #1 by Jed MacKay and Alessandro Cappuccio, with colors by Rachelle Rosenberg. Now, I know Moon Knight is like top 5 for you.
Yeah.
So how was this as a relaunch? His new #1. Excuse me, new #1, and it's with Jed MacKay.
Yeah. It all sounds so good, right?
Yeah, I mean, this sounds like this was like all made for you. Jed MacKay is, I don't know the artist. I don't think I've ever read anything with that before.
I think this is his like first big Marvel, his big comic book work. I think this is the first thing he's ever done. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I thought this issue was good. I think that it was a really good #1. It introduced a lot of things about Moon Knight. We got some callbacks to some stories. They did the Ellis run in there. The arc that he just had in Jason Aaron's Avengers was mentioned. They talked about his previous therapy sessions that he's had. We get a new status quo. He's now running the Midnight Mission. He's calling himself the High Priest of Khonshu, and obviously he's just protecting people of the night. So we see him kind of going up against some vampires, and he rescues a group of them who have just been turned, and they're like, we didn't want to be vampires, please don't kill us. So he actually ends up using one of them as his receptionist at the Midnight Mission. I think this take on Moon Knight is a little bit different, but there seems to be a reason for that, so I'm not really going to side-eye it too much until at least the first arc's done. Obviously, it seems that he's playing on the different aspects of Mark's personality depending on the costume he's with. When he's in the Mr. Knight suit, which is, I don't know if people seen it, but that's just the full white suit with the mask on.
Yes.
He's a lot more, I want to say, spiritual in the way that he talks. He talks very highly about like how Khonshu is a god and how we have to like worship the deity, and even though he's in jail, he is still like carrying on the mission and blah blah blah. But when he's in the Moon Knight guys, he seems to have a little bit more like street talking on him. We meet a doctor who is also a follower of Khonshu, and he talks about how Moon Knight is, you're a fist, and Moon Knight's like, I'm the fist, and the doctor's like, and the doctor's like, okay. He's like, just make sure that what you do is really representing Khonshu to the best of your ability, because that's what you need to do. And he's like, who are you? Come to find out later on in the issue that we actually see he is an avid follower of Khonshu. He has a statue in his apartment. He puts on a black mask that's similar to the one Moon Knight wears, just the inverted colors. He calls himself the Hunter's Moon.
Oh, okay.
So it looks like we've got a new villain introduction. There's somebody watching him on the side. Again, I think it was a really good first issue. I've seen a lot of Moon Knight fans. Well, I'm not going to say Moon Knight fans. I've seen a lot of people coming in saying that they've been interested in Moon Knight, and this is their first foray into him, saying that they really liked it. I don't think the personality aspect, again, it seems like he's doing something different, so I'm waiting to see if that's what he's actually doing, because it doesn't really feel super familiar to any Moon Knights I've read before.
Like the personalities are different?
A little bit.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes. But I really like Jed McKay. I think again he's a great action writer, so I'm definitely going to continue following in on this just to see. But I liked it. It was good.
Okay. All right. What would you rate it?
I rated it 3 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll definitely be paying attention to this. I know that if you guys are fans of Moon Knight, check out our previous Moon Knight panel that we did where Keenan really broke down the character and gave a lot more insight to it than I know that I would have ever had. So definitely check that out, y'all. All right. Up next is Guardians of the Galaxy number 16 by Al Ewing and Juan Frigeri with colors by Federico Blee. And I know that's right.
What a way to end the week off.
This is the one.
What a way to end the comic book off. I love this book.
I love when you come on up here into space and you like it. You know, you don't always like it.
That is true.
You don't always like it.
That is very true. No, this is good. I'm loving the Star-Lord content. I love the way that the teams kind of work together, how the different plots that Ewing has been building for this last Annihilation with Dormammu taking over Ego and sending his goons out and everybody's just fighting. Star-Lord being amazing. I really want to go to Spartex and see the astrologers in their robes with their headpieces, really cool. using their old time magic. Like, let's get into that.
The one thing I will say about Star-Lord that I've always kind of enjoyed was that Spartex stuff and like his dad being Jason and like all that stuff. I remember when like that was kind of introduced, and to me anyway, a while ago in a previous Guardians run, and I liked that stuff, and I wish that there was like more of that from him.
It's actually pretty good. It was
and his sister. I thought the sister was, again, he got a random
sibling, and she's black. You know, it was touched on a little bit in some of those solo series he had, but those series weren't that great. So I would like to see it redone by Ewing.
Post whatever they've been doing with him now that he's back, you know, this Star-Lord would be nice to see what it's all.
Peter Jason Quill. The art continues to look good in this book.
We get a lot of your boy in here too, Wiccan. I will say, I'm sorry. I don't think I like him.
Oh no, I don't know that. What are you talking about?
I don't think I like him. I think.
Oh, it's because he loves his man. You don't like characters who like their men.
I guess so. It's like he can't do anything without him.
He's got low self-esteem.
Is that what it is? Because like they are annoying.
No, the relationship is awful. The relationship is like a complete like toxic, codependent type of situation.
He's powerful in this. I'll give him that.
But I don't think anyone's ever going to write them as anything else.
They just love each other and they're just obsessed with it. It is what it is.
You just got to enjoy the moments when they are not together. Which Ewing is going to give us because they had to separate, which is fantastic. So it's like
that was like pulling teeth. It was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to separate. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, but it's like then we got them apart. So it's like, again, I don't think if there's been one thing that every writer who has done Hulkling and Wiccan has been that like they are together. Even when Gillen actually had them separate during Young Avengers, it was very much like, yeah, we separated, but we are coming back together. That's just going to be the thing. You just got to deal with it. When they're separate, though, it's fantastic.
I don't know. I think they're annoying.
Hulkling is also a horrible character.
Wiccan
is amazing.
Stop crying. Do something.
Yeah.
Stop crying.
Right.
Stop crying for your man. Do something. But we do get some stuff with Arakko. We see that, and you know, it looks like Star-Lord is all for it. Like, it's Mars. Seems like somebody's going to win. Yeah.
Peter Jason Quill. He's the child of the stars. He has a black sister.
Exactly. And we also get a lot of the heroes going off and fighting Dormammu because he took over the planet Ego. basically, and I assumed this was a spell or something, and it hatched, and now he's got a bunch of mindless ones basically fighting the entire galaxy, and people are fighting out there. I really liked this issue. I thought the art was fantastic. I got some Quasar stuff. I feel like Quasar is a character I would like once the mantle gets passed down to a character I would like because I like his powers and his abilities. I'm just not super into the character. And that probably goes for both Quasars. I can't think of the girl's name. She's cool too.
Kincaid.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think I would probably really like Quasar if the bands were given to a different character. But I guess this is the one I got to it.
I don't think I would like Quasar at all.
I like the powers. I just think I would prefer them to be with somebody else. And it looks like next issue we're probably going to get some more of that love triangle between Gamora and Star-Lord, because Star-Lord ends up saving Gamora because her ship exploded. I'm sorry, saved Gamora, and he obviously is trying to look like the big superhero. And I'm sure.
Are we? I feel like they can be together. I don't really think Star-Lord cares anymore.
You just want him to be single. And away from Gamora.
I just think. I think Gamora and Star-Lord?
Yeah.
No. I think that Nova and Gamora should be happy together.
That's fine with me. I don't really like Nova.
I don't like. Oh, he's awful. And I think I say this all the time when I've been going back and reading the New Warriors. He's definitely my least favorite.
Terrible.
Character.
Yes.
Awful. Just awful.
So rude.
Can't stand him. Gamora's like Gamora, whatever. I will say, the trio of Hercules, Mantis, and Drax was really fun in this issue as well.
They're fun.
I love kind of seeing them together, and Hercules telling Drax, "Are you making jokes?" And Drax is like, "I'm a superhero now. Superheroes tell jokes."
Now look at Hercules and Marvel Boy. They're able to coexist. They do their own thing. They love with each other.
You have to understand, they also were created as separate characters. Hulkling and Wiccan were created together specifically to be together. That's literally been their thing since their inception. Oh, the day somebody is brave enough to break them up, the internet's gonna tear them up.
Well, we see them finally separate, and Hulkling says that they need to bring in Captain Glory from his cell because they feel like they need the help, they need the power, which would be interesting to see. It's fun to see Ewing create this Captain Glory character, basically, and make him bigger than he is. I want to say that the first time they first appeared in No Surrender, in those Avengers books. And I want to say that was where the Ewing.
Yeah, he was one of the writers. Yeah. It was Ewing, Wade. I think it was just Ewing and Wade. It might have been somebody.
I think so. And maybe Duggan? I don't know. We'll check it out. Yeah. But it was interesting to see Captain Glory again because we saw him in Empire too.
Yeah.
He was the one that kind of turned on Hulkling. So we'll be seeing some more of that next issue. I had a lot of fun with this. This issue definitely gets a 4 out of 5 from me.
Same, 100%. Love it. It's Ewing magic. I do not want him to ever leave anything that I like. I just want him to continue writing all my favorite characters, and I feel like he likes a lot of my favorite characters. He just has to get the chance to get his hands on them.
I need him to throw Spectrum and Blue Marvel on this team.
Yeah, they definitely should have been there, especially over Doom.
Yeah. I need them on this team because they are.
I don't really need Spectrum as much, but I would love that.
I was just about to say Spectrum is one I think I would like to see.
No shade to Spectrum. Monica Rambeau is great.
She is great. She's just one character I feel like the pieces are there for me to like her. I just need more solo stuff from her. So I can really see more of her,
And I feel like she needs a more pared down cast. She's always a part of very
big ensemble cast.
I think that's why things like Next Wave, as fun as it was and humorous, and the Ultimates worked for her because it's so much smaller and you can really focus in on her a little bit more instead of just using her as the powerhouse of the group.
Yeah. And I would like to see her being a powerhouse out in space. Again, would probably level her out a bit because we've seen her go inside somebody's eye and shocking their brain and stuff. That's that's going to be too easy on her. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I would love to see that. But, all right, those were the comics of the week. Let's take a break and then we'll come back.
All right. I think this is going to be exactly what the people. I think this is what you're going to need. Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Okay.
We are here for another panel, and today we're going to have a very, very interesting character discussion. This is somebody who I've actually wanted to talk about for quite a while now, and it's Rogue, the X-Man, the sassy Southern Belle, Rogue Anna Marie. Is her last name LeBeau now?
I guess so. She's married now. Yeah.
Did she change her? Oh no, I
guess.
I
mean, she probably did. She loved that man, so.
She does love that man. So let me tell you something. This actually, I wanted to talk about Rogue for one reason, and that was because I was rereading Excalibur, and she was really holding my girl down in that book. You know.
Yeah.
And it just kind of made me start to think about Rogue's character as a whole. I won't lie to the people. Rogue is a character I kind of go up and down on a little bit sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I'm really into her. Other times I'm like, I never want to see her again. But I think lately, especially after remembering how down she be for the doll, I'm more on the side of enjoying her. And I think because a lot of the Rogue that I read originally back during the Outback run, of when she first took Carol Danvers' powers and all that stuff, and she was with the team. It wasn't a Rogue I enjoyed. I felt like her personality was very bratty. She was like very loud, standoffish. A lot of the other dolls did not like her. You know, she had fought Dazzler before. Storm was really close with Carol, so she wasn't feeling Rogue like that. Betsy was like, well, I'm cool with Storm and Dazzler, so. And then also her and Rogue used to butt heads a little bit too as well. Rogue was always kind of antagonizing her. But I've realized now that I feel like that was just more of Rogue's character at the time. Like that's where she was in her life. She was young. She had done all these bad things. She was trying to atone. I think in the more recent years, especially the last decade or so, she's come into a more well-rounded aspect of the character, and she's kind of like the every woman a little bit. You can put her anywhere. She's had a couple of leadership roles, whether you think it's good or bad. It's like all personal opinion. And she is a constant of the X-Men, sometimes the Avengers as well. And I feel like she's the dependable one of the group. I don't think they always use the overused line of this character is the heart of the X-Men. I don't necessarily think Rogue is the heart, but I think she's like a leg.
Yeah. And that's not even shade. That's just like
like truly, like you need a leg. You definitely need a leg. So I think she's like a very strong leg. And I just want to talk about her because another thing that brought this about is, I don't know if you saw this the other day, but they were tweeting about kind of like the big three of women in the X-Men, and they had Storm, Jean, and Emma. And I was like, I get Emma.
Not like the other.
I totally get Emma has had a very strong presence in the X-Men comics, and her stock has risen a little bit. But I don't think people realize how strong the hold the 90s cartoon has on the world.
Oh, yes. Ooh.
And when you think about the X, there are two things that are going to have the 90s cartoon and the Marvel vs. Capcom game.
Yes.
And when you think about those things, obviously from the cartoon, your X-women are going to be Storm and Jean. Then after that, you got Rogue and sometimes Jubilee. And then you sometimes get Psylocke from the Marvel vs. Capcom game. But it's like, how many times have you seen that little clip of Rogue fighting Gladiator in space?
Too many.
And even her costume, like she's still in the costume from the 90s.
Still in it,
like,
yes.
She was one of the dolls of the 90s. Like Rogue is just that girl. And I think it's very interesting because I know you have a very complicated relationship with Rogue.
That I do.
So I want to get into her. I want to talk about her. How do you feel about her? What do you think were some of her best stories? some of her stories. For those who don't know, Rogue was created in 1981 by Chris Claremont and Michael Golden. Her first appearance was in Avengers Annual number 10. She beats the team. It's an iconic moment. If there's one thing Rogue is known for, it is beating and then leading. Oh, I wasn't going to say a team, but the Avengers for sure.
Yes, that's for sure. And I thought that was actually a really great issue. Watching her take all of them down by herself was dope. However, that issue also shows an issue that I have with her and her powers, because in her first appearance where she's fighting the Avengers, one of the Avengers is Wonder Man, and she tries to take his powers, but she can't because he is not human, because of his ionic energy. But now she was able to take his powers.
She has his powers now.
Which doesn't make any sense. Again, I personally feel like they did that because they want to bring her back to the 90s.
The sassy Southern brawler. Again, it is a staple, and this is just like that's Rogue. So many characters have been based off that, and I'll never forget. Everybody knows I love a creator, and so I love to listen to their interviews and read articles and things from them. And there have been so many women creators. When you ask them who their favorite X-Men or like their favorite character was, it's Rogue. Like, she shaped the girls. They do love having her take your favorite character's powers, though.
Yes, it's because the characters that I like have, they're in that brawler range or whatever, and they always want to take Rogue back there instead of letting her kind of be dope on her own.
Yeah.
So most of the time they just take my character's powers.
Where do you stand on Carol Rogue relationships now?
I like where it is now, personally. Every time that they've met, and it hasn't even been too often, but they obviously have, come into contact with each other more recently, I guess I should say, post their whole mishap.
Yeah.
And it has never been a I forgive you now and we are sisters and we're forever bonded and we're going to be friends or whatever. It's always pretty much been, I mean, when Carol came back as binary, it was truly on sight. Like, she saw her and punched her into the atmosphere. And then she came back and was going to beat her up again. And the X-Men had to separate them. Storm and Nightcrawler threatened to leave the team if Rogue stayed. So it wasn't like we're cool kind of thing. And then later it just kind of evolved into I see you. I respect what you do over there, because I do think that they have a lot of similar qualities. The things that I ended up liking a lot about Rogue were the qualities that she basically got from Carol when she touched her, because you don't really know too much about Rogue, or at least the superhero Rogue, I should say, outside of it being kind of Carol light, with the brawler aspect to her personality and the kind of the headstrongness, in my opinion. A lot of that kind of comes from Carol. And they've had meetings before where Carol will say, I see what you're doing over there. That's great. And Rogue will say, I'll never know if what I've been doing is because I picked it up from you. And Carol has reassured her, like, everything you're doing is on your own. It's got nothing to do with me. So I respect what you do, but we're not ever going to be friends. Like, we're never going to be that.
Would you be interested in seeing them on a team together, like if they were both Avengers at the same time?
If they were ever both Avengers at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Rogue would be leading that team. And Carol was just a member. Carol's not the leader like that. I wouldn't say a good one, because she's not one. You know what I'm saying? It's not like she's not the one to say, all right, I'm going to lead this team of 10 people into this. Unless it's like, hey, everyone, follow my lead as we all go punching and beat up the bad guys. You know what I mean? She's not like a Captain America or even Rogue.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Okay. I can see that. And I think that's another thing about Rogue that has kind of...
If I did see them on the same team, though, I would want Rogue to have her own powers, but like under control. Because I will say that earlier we talked about what would be like some Rogue stories that I liked. And
Mm-hmm.
although it was like 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
that Mike Carey legacy run was
Iconic.
truly fantastic. And Rogue
Did a
got some
great
really
thing for him.
great stuff for Rogue in there. And she got her powers under control. And
Mm-hmm.
that, and she was able to really like see more of like Rogue and her psyche. So if I ever saw her on an Avengers team, I would like when she's like that and like her going out
Yeah.
using everybody's powers on the team and like coordinate them
Mm-hmm.
that way. I like that versus
Yeah.
her just being the
The
flight.
Mike the Mike Carey era was spectacular for Rogue, and I honestly think that was one of the things that really cemented who she is as a character. Again, I think all X-Men characters, or a lot of just comic book characters in general, kind of went a little stagnant during the 90s. They got stuck in whatever trope or phase they were supposed to be in. But I think, again, the early 2000s to the 2010s, though, that moved a lot of people past it and took them to the next level. Legacy, and then following up when she joined the Avengers, was definitely that for Rogue. So highly recommended reading for anyone who's trying to get into her and doesn't know too much about her. And then even Mr. and Mrs. X from Kelly Thompson did some really good stuff for her after she and Gambit got married. And I was going to say that's actually one of the things why I think Rogue is such the leg of the team, because the relationships she forms with people actually do get very deep. Like, I feel like there are a lot of ex relationships we kind of see that at a surface level, or they're just what it is. Rogue is that character where she is always supporting the people. And there's a gentleman on Twitter, my Snap Pack, he actually tweeted me once, and he was saying Rogue is that character who looks at everybody as her best friend, even if they don't necessarily see her the same way. And I was like,
That actually
that's
makes a lot of sense.
yeah, I was like, that's cool for her because of some factors. Like, again, she has these deep relationships with everybody. So it's just like you can put her anywhere. And again, we went through the time period where she had the students and she was mentoring them. And it's like these are all roles that kind of fit for her. And they have really helped that development into her as a leader. Again, whether you think she's a great leader or not, that is debatable.
I do not. I will say that kind of made me think of. I'm sure I talked about this before on the show when Hickman had an interview and he talked about a character's powers kind of influencing their personality and how they kind of interact with the world. So you would expect someone like Rogue, who is, when she touches you, she really is like absorbing all of who you are, to kind of look at people who are like her, like other mutants or whatever, as they would be her teammates and stuff, as her best friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Do you have a preference of her as an X-Man or an Avenger?
Okay, so I will admit that personally, I've always thought that she was better as an Avenger because she just fits there. She just has great stories there. Her personality and the way it kind of not only fits and clashes with the other members of the Avengers fits there. And unlike other Avengers, she still represents like mutantdom. She still says like, I'm a mutant, you know.
Yeah, she's proud.
Yes. So I kind of liked her there. But, at the same time, I understand that like Rogue to me is like a great superhero. She can, in my opinion, like she's like a very good superhero. So I can understand why she could also make sense with the X-Men, but only in the sense where the X-Men are superheroes. And in my opinion, they haven't been until this most recent Jerry Dugan run.
Yeah.
Prior to that, the X-Men have just been people with powers, and they were protecting themselves. You know what I mean? They were and going out and rescuing them and keeping their people alive. They weren't superheroes in a sense.
That's actually a really good point, and I think it kind of feels like is a part of the reason why I felt like I was disillusioned with Rogue and the X-Men for a little bit. I do see her as a really good superhero, and her with the Avengers is a great example of that. She does superheroes really well. It's like where she shines, and with the X-Men, I think outside of obviously Carrie building kind of the personal connection and really delving into her personality, the only time where she ever got to be a hero a little bit was when she was teaching the students. And that's because she was training them and like taking them out to places and doing things like that. So again, she got to be the superhero. That's a really good point.
Wow. She makes a great superhero. I will always say that even if I may not be interested in the character. That doesn't mean I always dislike them. I can find some ways to like make them. I see what they're about, and I honestly think that like Rogue is a dope superhero. That's where you get the most like great stuff from her.
You don't really necessarily like, even though she is a proud mutant, you don't really see her like.
She's not like Exodus or something where she's gonna like start a revolution for it.
Yeah, that's not her. She's like, I'm a sit at the table as this, so you can know we exist.
Exactly.
That's cool.
And when there's time for something to go down, she's definitely gonna be there.
For sure. Is there anything from Rogue, being as someone who sits on the fence with her sometimes, that you wanted to see for her and think they could delve into a little bit more, whether it be like her family, relationship? Obviously, she's married to Gambit now. Was there ever anybody that you wanted to see her with?
I don't know if there's anybody I've ever seen would like to see her with because of the Gambit thing, and even before they were married, that was always a relationship, in my opinion, that kind of like cemented itself in the 90s, where it was like, this is never gonna change. Do you know what I mean? Like where there's like certain characters where they get together and it's like, all right, they're probably never gonna like, this is it. Yeah. And so I've always been cool with them being together just because you knew that they were always gonna be whatever with each other. I would have liked to see Rogue, honestly. She is where I would have put her, which is on this X-Men team. I just would have changed, or at least given some kind of explanation to her powers, or something a little bit more. I know that I didn't read the Mr. and Mrs. X book, but I know that there were some area of effect ways that she could use her powers, like she didn't have to touch you, that she could absorb it. That was also been brought up in the Captain Marvel book. Rogue made an appearance there, and they fought. And again, Carol told her, like, we're not friends, but I like appreciate what you and she absorbed her like that way from a distance or whatever. I thought that was kind of interesting, but like, can she still do that? Or
I mean, I don't know. I do remember the whole area effect thing where she didn't have to touch you, but she also like had control of it. But then I remember in the beginning of Excalibur, it seemed like she didn't have control of it anymore.
Right.
But again, I think that is the one crux that Rogue constantly has as a character. Writers do not like to it always goes back and forth. Everyone either she has control or she doesn't. That's just something I think they need to work out as a whole. I think personally it's beyond time that she has control.
Yeah. She's just unfortunately always stuck in nostalgia. Like I think out of all of the X characters, honestly, she's probably gotten it the worst as far as, every character gets hit with the nostalgia, the nostalgia button every now and then. But I feel like out of all of them, she's kind of gotten it the worst because they keep bringing her back to she can't control her powers. She's the flying brawler. Here's this the costume with the little jacket.
I can see that. Hopefully the new X-Men run kind of helps alleviate some of that. I mean, obviously she's back in the 90s costume and flying and brawling, so maybe not. But
see, I was a little afraid because I feel like Dugan, I feel like he likes that Rogue.
I was about to say, I will say, I feel like he loves Rogue.
He's the one that gave her those powers again.
Oh, that's true. And Uncanny Avengers.
Well, not again. He was the one that released Wonder Man from her. At least so I'll give him that, and brought him back. But after she got brought back, she was still like floating and flying. Had the powers, yeah. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't know if she has like Wonder Man powers, because like, can she change into an ionic form? Can she shoot energy blasts like him?
That's also something that's been weird. I think I do remember reading an interview from a creator saying that like she had the strength and the flight, and that's why she could do it again.
So also, does that mean that she has his personality? Will that ever pop up?
Or does that not the same anymore? I think that was freed, but it gets a little.
Will the powers fade at some point?
I mean, she's still flying and fighting. So.
I want to see, it's questions like that I have with her powers, like.
And I think that's my thing. That's kind of what I want them to move away from with Rogue, especially here in this Krakoan era. I think one of the biggest things that is missing is her not being a part of asking where Destiny is.
Yeah.
I think she should be at the forefront. And I'm really kind of excited. I'm not going to say I'm excited for Inferno, but I'm excited to see if Rogue plays a part in Inferno, because I think the Rogue and Destiny relationship is really interesting. When they had that small reunion in X-Men The Crow Show, excellent.
Yeah, it was
And,
nice.
and that's our second mom. We've seen so much of Rogue and Mystique, so much, and we barely get any Rogue and Destiny, and I think that's something that really needs to kind of be brought into her. I think Rogue having a family is very important, even though they said she don't want kids anymore. But I think, like, again, like, I look at how she depends on it, or how everyone else kind of depends on her, and how she's the leg for the group. And I think her having that again would be nice for her. I'd also like to see some more stuff with her and Kurt.
And how would you put their relationship now? Did you like to see them more be like brother and sister, or just butt heads on philosophies?
I don't know. I don't really think Rogue has too many philosophies. But I just would like to see them. I just think it would be nice to see, like, how they kind of feel right now, especially, like, there's been very few times where we've had Mystique, Rogue, and Nightcrawler all kind of in the same spot. It's just like, what is this? How do you guys, like, feel about each other as a family? Do you not? Do you? What's cool?
Honestly, that's probably what I would like to see for Rogue. If we're going to have her be what I think she is, which is a great superhero, I'd rather see her as an Avenger, or you're leading an Avengers team. But then when we see her on Krakoa, she's like dealing with her family and stuff. We see her talking with Mystique. We see her talking with Nightcrawler. We see her asking questions about Destiny. She doesn't necessarily have to be a superhero over there, because it's an island of paradise.
It's her home.
Yeah, it's just her home.
I can see that. That would be nice. I do love Rogue the Avenger as well.
So. Yeah. It would be nice. So maybe if now that Gambit is, riding solo in Excalibur, maybe sometimes when she pops back up, they can touch on her home life. So I'm sure she's going to pop back up.
I think a thing is supposed to be that they're going to be popping back and forth in the books together. So we'll see. But that's our panel. I just wanted to talk about Rogue, see what was going on with her. Let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll actually talk about more Rogue when we come back for another reread of No Surrender.
Let's do it.
Peace. Oh my goodness. All right, everybody. Welcome back for another reread. And this week, so we're actually dividing this into two parts. This week, we're going to do the first 8 issues of No Surrender, because as we started to go back and reread this, we realized that it was 16 issues. And I can make a lot of time throughout my week to read some comics, but like the stack of comics I have plus another 16 issues or something, it wasn't going to work. I got Housewives to watch. But despite all of that, let's go ahead and let's get into No Surrender. Again, we were just talking about Rogue and our character panel, and this is a place where Rogue gets to shine. Game Master and Challenger have gotten the Black Order and the Lethal Legion, and they're playing basically a game of chess, and they're trying to get these pieces. A bunch of the heroes of the world have been taken offline. They're frozen in space, and we have a bunch of Avengers who, I guess, were just not considered important. Right. And so they all are okay. And so these are the Avengers Reserves. They come together. We also are introduced to Voyager, who is the long lost Avenger character.
Yes, who is one. She said she was a original member.
A founding member, actually. Yeah. And the event is written by Al Ewing, Mark Waid. We have beautiful art throughout from Pepe Larraz, and Kim Jacinto joins in for a couple of issues. Oh, we're supposed to be looking at Thor's third writer. Are you looking at that right now?
Yeah. Oh, Zub.
Oh my gosh, Jim Zub.
Yeah, I forgot about
that. I like Zub.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he got his credit. He's responsible for putting Betsy back in her original body, if you didn't know.
That's right. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. I wonder what happened to him. Anyways.
He's also responsible for, after, I want to say it may have been around this, he put Beast and Wonder Man together. They had a night on town and actually showed their differences where they are, from where they were best friends to like where they are now, where Wonder Man was like, I think you're dangerous. Like, we're friends, but like, I think it's ridiculous.
Okay, so it might have been gone too soon from the comic book world.
Yeah.
But I think overall the first 8 issues of this is like an amazing event.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Pepe Larraz. I didn't realize going back and rereading this now. I read this when it came out and back in 2018, and I was a big fan of it back then because it was just like these big, beautiful pages, and like I do love an action shot with the powers and all that kind of stuff, and that was always great. I guess I didn't realize back then that a lot of this was drawn by him, and there's some good stuff, some really, really good stuff.
And I think that is also a testament to his talent because I don't know if people remember, but this was a weekly series.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
That's why there's so many issues of it. This is actually kind of what spearheaded the idea for the Uncanny X-Men Disassembled event that they had. Like, this is where that inspiration came from. So shout out to the Avengers for starting that out. Also, shout out to the Avengers for Pepe Larraz. Because I think this is one of his big first Marvel works, and then as we know, the X-Books thankfully stole him from them. But he was killing it on this. I think, like you said, there were a lot of big, beautiful pages. He excels, I think, in action spreads, and No Surrender is just one big action scene. This would be a good MCU movie, actually.
I was actually thinking that while I was reading this, while we had these two teams battling it out and trying to go and collect these pieces or whatever. And we see all the teams kind of working things out and trying to figure out that they're even a part of a game. I was like, this would make a really good, either an MCU movie or an animated film or some sort, something like that. I love that.
Yeah,
an arc or an animated series. That would be cool.
It's dope because a lot of the characters you have, they're very vibrant. You got Rogue and Wonder Man and folks and Johnny Storm flying around and shooting beams out. Lightning, you got folks like Falcon and Hercules who can give you their hand-to-hand stuff. And also shout out to this book for really emphasizing the leaders of the Avengers: Rogue, Falcon, and Sunspot. The mutants love to be Avengers. And I think this event being so good is a testament to that time for the Avengers and just how good the line was as a whole. And I really appreciated for Sam this being his first role as leader of the Avengers in the Falcon role, as opposed to being Captain America. But obviously, and I think I was tweeting about this as well, Captain America is a symbol. So I feel like a lot of times when he's around the Avengers, people automatically kind of follow him because that's just what they know to do, no matter whether it's Steve, Bucky, or Sam. I think sitting back and looking at Sam as Falcon in this series and saying no, he is still the same man, even without that specific symbol. He is your leader. You're following him and how he does that. And everybody kind of falls in line, which is great.
Yeah, I was when Falcon was rising up and telling people what to do, I was I knew you were loving that. And
I was
it was also really cool to see him kind of like what you say, really step into that leadership role. And shout out to the writers for having the thought bubbles again with this stuff, because seeing him kind of, while he was making decisions, be okay, I have to make sure they are believing me with this because I need them to follow me. It was really cool to see him actually be that kind of leader.
Just an excellent moment. Another character who I really enjoyed in this was Quicksilver.
Yes. Yeah. It's been so long since we've seen him. Probably since this.
Has. I think he had the miniseries after this, but I think that was kind of the last time we've really seen him do anything. And it's just crazy, especially after WandaVision. I think he would have brought him back for that. But no, I think it was great. And it was classic Pietro. It was kind of the one, he's a little headstrong, he is stubborn, he's going to do what he wants, he's not going to listen to anybody. I love seeing him on this relationship here, and she's trying to calm him down. And even Dr. Voodoo's reminding her, he's you're not his keeper, Wanda. He's a grown man. And Pietro's going to do what he wants no matter what.
Did you notice, and I forget exactly which issue it was, but after the heroes were all frozen, which I think was a great way to kind of not only pull out characters who never really get a shine, like Wonder Man or a Lightning and stuff like that. A lot of those characters. It was also a way for you to make the story more interesting, because if you have the X-Men and everybody else involved in this stuff, it could the story's over really quickly. So I liked the way that was kind of done. But did you notice when Wanda was trying to use her magic to maybe like warp reality and fix something? She released Vision.
And she froze Quicksilver.
And she froze Quicksilver in front of her new man, in front of Brother Voodoo.
She's messy. That's my girl. She's hilarious. She's hilarious.
I was like, you just unfroze your ex-husband in front of your new man.
And she said, and what about it? And what about it?
I like it.
And what about it? She said, and they were both fine. But no, that Wanda had some good moments here, and I think it's also nice to remember I kind of enjoy her a lot sometimes. I loved a lot of the emotion that was coming behind some of these characters' motivations. It was nice to see these relationships. Rogue, again, a lot of people kind of depending on her and what she did and just her being a support system. I think about in the scene where Johnny grabs the piece and he like disintegrates and they think he's dead, and like how Rogue reacted to that. Like it just felt very raw, very human. Good moments for her.
Her and Johnny have like a pretty close relationship.
She loves a gay. Look at her.
Well,
they're also close as well.
I mean, she does have a nice relationship with Torch. I know that they like are pretty close. Yeah. She also will not see it. Still does not see it for Scarlet Witch. Anytime they were earlier talking, I don't know. At one point, they were trying to figure out what people could do, and of course, you know, typical magic users coming up with an excuse for them not being able to do something. So Wanda was like, oh, I couldn't do this with my powers because of whatever, the planets weren't aligned. And Rogue's like, oh, great. Thanks.
Good for that girl. That's always nice to see. I love that how they just kind of butt heads, but they still like respect each other a little bit.
Yeah.
It's cute to see. I wonder if we'll get a little bit of Rogue's reaction to her being dead.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Because I think the X-Men are supposed to like help in that investigation. If I saw there were some preview pages that Marvel released, and I know Cyclops and Lorna and Marvel Girl were in it with like Starr and somebody else from that team.
Rachel, I think I saw her. She was there too?
Maybe Rachel. That sounds about right. Yeah. So it'll be nice to see how she reacts to that.
That'd be interesting. She probably don't care.
One thing I also really loved about this event was the character design. And again, shout out to Pepe Rise. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him on a big event where he's created some designs or some characters and they had not looked good. Because the Legion looked good. And again, Captain Glory, the introduction to him, who we just saw over in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Welcome back. Yeah. He was hot. I love the mask, the helmet, the color scheme. Everything.
I had a feeling you were going to like his outfit. It's really cool. And he, you know, for people who know Carol, she got her powers because she was experimented on by the Brood, and they like unlocked her like Kree mutant stuff. Once the Kree found out about that, I guess that's the way he was experimented on by the Kree. They kind of made him into a soldier. He has similar abilities to Carol. I don't think he can go like binary or absorb energy and stuff, but he's got super strength, can fly, can shoot energy blast, and he's Kree, so you know.
Hey, that tells you all you need to know. Was there any like of the characters in this who you weren't super familiar with, who you kind of walked out, or in this first half you were like, oh, maybe I should go back and see something from them or what they do?
Honestly, for me, it was Lightning. So like I had always been a pretty big fan of his. Obviously, I had done that panel on him before, but when this first came out, like I had been interested in him before, but this really put him back on my radar again. And I liked him and him trying to like really show himself as being a superhero. He doesn't want to let anybody down because he is a reserved member, like a reservist member. So he feels like, oh my gosh, they're inviting me onto the big leagues. I want to show up and show out. So I like that or whatever. But like, it seems like everybody kind of forgot about him after this, because you didn't see anything from him anymore after this. I wasn't the biggest fan of Synapse before, the Inhuman telepathic girl. Still not that big of a fan of her. I was interested in the Lethal Legion. I think this was actually their first, like...
Yeah, they were created for this event.
For this. I liked
to fight
the Metal Master. Obviously liked him. I did like the Lethal Legion a lot. They were pretty cool.
Okay. I don't really think there was anyone who I was super excited about seeing. I wish Firebird would have been a part of this event. I know
Oh,
she's
that would have
out
been
there
nice.
somewhere. That would have been nice to see her, especially drawn by Pepe. But
Oh,
going
yeah.
back and reading the second time, I think I want to go and get a little bit more into Nadia, the Wasp.
Oh, I don't like her.
No,
I like her because I have read some stuff with her, and I'm like, ooh.
Oh, and so that's my thing. I've never read anything with her, but I remember at the time, like she was supposed to be like the next girl that was coming out and be the thing. It was Kamala, it was Riri,
It was
Vision,
Wasp.
and it was Nadia, the Wasp. And so, but like I felt like that fizzled out very quick.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this was kind of supposed to be her thing, and she was here, and I was just like, oh, I don't actually know anything about this character, so I was like, maybe I should go back and read some other stuff. I feel like she had a team up with Mockingbird, which I would love to see.
Maybe you'll like it more than I did, and you have to let us know what you think about it. But I am not a fan.
If anyone else has been into some Nadia stuff or they know some good Nadia stories or where to recommend, please let me know. Send them my way. Yeah, but that was it. Wonder Man was in this.
Yes, he was. I know that's right. I appreciate the fact of him being able to like use his powers and stuff in this, but still they push the pacifist stuff.
I think you kind of might just need to accept that he's a pacifist.
It just seems such a random heel turn.
I just feel like
he went from like being I want to be a superhero, but I will always check the Avengers because I don't like see them accomplishing some good.
Mm-hmm.
To all of a sudden being a pacifist. The pacifist thing always to me felt like, okay, I feel like you think he's too overpowered. So.
Which I agree with. I feel like that might be a big thing. You always have to figure out a way to take those superpowered characters off. However, I think now the new narrative is that he is just a pacifist. And
I hear pacifist, he keep punching people out the face.
I mean, I don't mean he don't get tired.
Like in the same issue.
It's like a Wonder Woman thing. What they always say? Preach peace but teach violence.
See, I don't want that for him.
I think
I like when he was okay with being a little, get a little rough.
I think you should figure out how to work the new pacifism into your ideal Wonder Man.
We'll figure out how to have that be a part of it. Maybe we could take the back burner or something. It'll show its head every now and then, but we got to get it about it.
Amazing.
I did appreciate the fact that they touched on his powers though, and Jarvis got injured in this, and Beast wanted Wonder Man to fly back over and let him know like, hey, you think you can help out? And Wonder Man is an entrepreneur and smart in that way, but he's not like a scientist like that. So Beast and Wasp, Nadia were like, hey, you can control ionic energy, and ions are both positive and negative energy, meaning you could like draw the opposites of that from him, see if you could kind of figure that out. And I liked the art there and the way that his powers were shown.
That was really good. Speaking of Jarvis being hurt, were you like, did you feel anything from that?
Okay, so I forgot that was going to happen the second time around. The first time around, I remember I wasn't too shocked by it because I had a feeling that mostly because I don't pay too much attention to Jarvis.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's where I was going with that. So
beginning, I had always pretty much thought that Jarvis was just like a voiceover of the house at that point. Like I thought we had past him being an actual butler. So him being brought back in this and being killed the first time, I was like, okay, fine. He could just become an AI for the building or something. But this time I was like, oh snap, I forgot.
He's dying. I feel like, and I read a lot of Avengers books here and there, but I was like, oh, I'm sorry, Jarvis. That's sad.
Right.
I don't know. I should probably feel more. But
actually, now that I think about it, I don't remember if he makes it out of this. So
I was about to say, I don't either. I guess we'll find out next week when we finish.
Because I'm like, oh wait, he's in the hospital in this. How did he even mix it out? Okay.
But they were sad. Naughty was sad, and I was just like, oh yeah, well that's sad. But overall, first half of this event, really enjoyed it. Looking forward to kind of finishing it off and seeing how.
Yeah, I think Pepe Larraz actually ends up coming back because I think the artist at the end's kind of changed, which I still liked, but it'll be interesting to see the second half of this.
I'm ready.
All right, y'all. So that brings us to the end of the show. Make sure you check us out on Twitter at Another Relaunch. You can also send us any of your questions, concerns at anotherrelaunch@gmail.com. You can watch us if you want to watch the show on YouTube at Another Relaunch TV. You can find me on most social media platforms at Uncanny LZ. Keenan, where can they find you?
You guys know you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Keenan Lance, and there's an underscore at the end.
Boom. All right, y'all. So we will catch y'all next week. And let's get up out of here.
I'm hungry. Oh my gosh, I was just about to say
that. All right, y'all. Peace.